everyone, Kuro the Artist here, and welcome back to another Ben 10 breakdown. We're back at it again with Showdown Part 2 that explores the many mysteries that this season set up, such as the logistics of how Malware's transformation-destroying abilities function, how he was able to prevent Ben from using feedback, why the moon was blown up, and most importantly, will Pakmar receive restitution for Ben's violent and misguided destruction?
You know what this scoundrel has did?
There's a lot to talk about here that I'm itching to get into, but if this is your first breakdown and you're curious about how my rating system works, there's a detailed description down below, along with a link to all my previous breakdowns, but by all means watch this video first, I'm sure you'll still enjoy it. I also got a few exciting updates. We've wrapped up And Beyond Season 1 exploring many homeworlds, from Kilmis to Sonorousia to Planet Vegeta to the Ghost Zone, and now we're back with Season 2, and you know we gotta look fresh. In the Season 2 opener, we go large once more to explore the Ages Orbit, a mysterious time-accelerated system home to the universe's notable speedsters. You can already see a ton of concept illustrations, finished art, and streams of us working on this episode over on our Patreon right now. We're super excited for this one. I'm also happy to announce that Drawing with Kuro is coming back once more, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. EST. Oh, you're taking my microphone, Bruce. Over on our Twitch, which means once again, my commissions are open. If you'd like to commission me to draw one of your aliens or characters for the 5whale universe, or just for some fun personal art, you can find the relevant links to how to do so in the description or in the pinned comment down below. I'm gonna be taking it slow and I'm only opening 5 slots for now, but once those commissions are completed, more will come soon. My major focus is still on 5whale and Beyond, so this will be my new weekly way to keep in touch with the community, as breakdowns will continue to remain in a random state of flux for now and just be released whenever I have time for them. David McDermott is back for Showdown Part 2, which first aired a week after Part 1 on February 16th, 2013. Malware plans to integrate himself with Galvan Prime and become a living weaponized planet to exact his full revenge on Azimuth. But Max comes with reinforcements of Gwen, Kevin, Blue Kick Chandriba to help Ben and Kevin defeat Malware and revive all of the dead mechamorphs.
Kyber and Malware are still out there.
Do you see how the recap included practically nothing that happened last episode? That's how unimportant most of the events were. Psychobos and Zed getting captured and the moon blowing up is basically it. And the feedback flashback as well, but I'm actually surprised that's not in the previously on segment. Flashing back to 5 minutes ago to see why and how the moon actually blew up. Ooh, lasers look really cool like this. Seems like this is more of like a rapid fire example of their beams rather than just the straightforward thick spray that they have. The green outlines for them really helps separate them from the background, since the background and them are mostly black anyways. Hot damn. Walking through the smoke. I feel like I've seen so many variations of walking through the smoke in Ben 10. Sometimes they fade the character through it, sometimes they animate them pushing through the smoke. This one just kind of seems like a fade though. Ooh, you know what? I feel like this is a similar ability to Ben creating that spike construct all the way back in Season 1 of Classic. Though if that's not what this is, I wish these walls looked a little bit more detailed, but because they're not and they're just pure green blocks, I'm gonna assume this is the same power. Not good enough for Malware though. Back to the Helix. In case you need a quick refresher, the Helix is what helped bring the Mechamorphs to life in the first place. Now Malware's corrupting all of Galvan B. Man, drawing all of these lines, especially accounting for the different surface levels. This must have taken quite a bit. So the first time we see the planet exploding, there's explosions that are causing each crack first, and then it all blows up in one go. Here, it immediately all blows up in one go, and all of the cracks happen simultaneously. But we get this excellent burst of energy. Oh, now the theme song has sound effects. So the theme song does change every now and then. Sometimes it's the track, sometimes it's the visuals. But with this one, it's unique because it keeps the same visuals and tracks that we've been sticking with for the first 2 seasons, but adds in sound effects. I actually think the sound effects are a little distracting. I kind of liked it better without it. It's a bit much. Yeah, it was better without them. You might as well go blind if you're staring at sunshine, Ben 10. I'm loving that the pressure of the blast is affecting the surface as well. and it's still slightly behind the atmosphere to show how far away it is. So it seems to have flipped what direction it's facing once we get to this shot. From here, we should be seeing the other angle of the planet.
But if malware was on the moon when it blew, problem solved.
Bro, you gotta stop assuming that blowing him up is gonna kill him. This is like the third time, and it's still not gonna kill him, Ben. Please, please learn.
The defensive grid is down.
Man the particle cannons.
Oh yes, NRG, the perfect alien for this. I actually feel like we've been getting quite a lot of NRG in Omniverse. Is that a correct assumption? Well, no, this is only his 4th appearance, so that's fine. His appearances are all pretty significant to me though, so. And now they have to fight against the debris of the moon blowing up. They're really taking in the all of the side effects of this explosion into account. Makes it feel a lot more real and dangerous. Nice. I wonder if Ben had an NRG back when Jet Ray was trying to do this, if he would have fared as a better solution to their problem. So you don't really see this too often. Usually it's just crediting the writers, but here Charlotte and Kevin worked on the story while it was penned by David. Although all episodes typically have everybody's input, but credit-wise, this is a rarity. This is also presumably the last like true involvement Dwayne had. Even though he's not credited, he was stated to have conceptualized the initial malware and feedback arc. So now that we're resolving everything in here, this is officially it for what the series was planned for. And from season 3 forward, it's 100% new, fresh ideas. So it seems like malware's remains without any sentience to guide and absorb the technology just automatically destroys it. What a beautiful shot right here.
Malware. He's been scattered over half the planet.
Pakmar demands satisfaction.
We're still on the Pakmar stuff though. I'm hating pretty hard on this. My bad, but I am.
Trying to provide for his wife and...
Like, what time are they trying to eat up right now in the season 2 finale? If anything, give me some throwaway fights. I'd much prefer that than something that has literally nothing to do with what 2 seasons have been building up for. I can even, at this point, excuse the setup, what has Ben and Rook been up to before the grand finale scene from part 1, but like, now we're still going?
487 children!
Wow, Pakmar fucks.
I'm not seeing Ben Tennyson anywhere in this sector, Magister.
Oh, who's that? My guess is Yuri. I'm gonna check though. Not credited on the wiki. Maybe it's Renee. All right, my guess is either D or Corey now. Probably D, because I don't think Corey was in the Ultimate Alien crew. And that kind of sounded like that kid from the Alien X clip.
After all the hype, the Alien X smoothie was a real disappointment.
I'm not seeing Ben Tennyson anywhere in this sector, Magister.
Let me see that.
So right here, he is Agent Ben Tennyson, showing he is indeed officially a plumber. This will be important in a few seasons.
So what's our next move?
How should I know?
You're the smartest guy in 3 games.
Oh my god, I really gotta knock over Rook for this?
It's not like this has ever happened before.
Malware's creeping on up here. This is a pretty good morph right here.
I have brought destruction.
He's now much larger than he has been in their last encounter. Not quite in his mega giant form that we'll see later, but he's gotten pretty big.
Your favorite creations are no more.
I killed your children, Azimuth.
Chaos doesn't take any special talent. I'm not impressed.
Oh snap. Azimuth is like, it's easy to be destructive. Takes away his credibility.
Nothing I do could ever impress you, could it, Father?
Why won't you love me, Dad?
I am nothing but your failed experiment.
Yeah, that's what my kid says too.
My only shame is that I have been unable to heal your pain, but it's not too late. Give up this vendetta of yours, and we'll work together to make you whole.
So Azimuth is once again trying to help Malware. I feel like folks don't give Azimuth enough credit that he really did try to help Malware multiple times. He just has a lot of other responsibilities. This has been discussed before, so I'll spare you the monologue, but Azimuth really wasn't as like careless and selfish as people give him credit for. It's not like he was on that fuck Malware train. He tried to help him back in the day and couldn't, then needed to attend to his other responsibilities. Now he's trying to help Malware again. So it's unfortunate that Malware's circumstance happened in the first place, but Malware definitely screwed himself and put himself in this position time and time again.
Lie! It is too late.
See, this amount of texture and detail is what I would have expected from the Mechamorph constructs earlier, but because they lacked that, that's what leads me to believe they were the same type of constructs that Upgrade created. Oh boy, Humongosaur. Y'all are really glad you get to start using him again, huh? Oh no.
My proto tool!
Although here we see it get destroyed and then absorbed. Usually it's one or the other. This does look like it was destroyed in the same pattern that feedback was, which does ponder the question, if malware can destroy technology yet still replicate it, could malware have somehow absorbed feedback and that be the reason that Ben re-unlocks him by going into malware later? Let's find out. Also, absolutely fantastic. You see them build the proto tool from the inside out in malware. This is probably one of his best animations. Fantastic in every single way. Let's run that back one more time.
My proto tool!
So good. Although it's typically just another laser. He mostly just did that to mess with Rook and Ben. He's already got the tachyon cannon. Although it's giving Humongosaur a run for his money. Really cool that he can, like, force momentum to dodge in the air. I don't care if that makes sense or not. That's awesome. Ooh, a blade. Now he's using the proto tool functions. So that's neat. And look at that, they even do it a second time. Although now that they've done it the first time, they kind of rush through it just to make a point. But, you know, you gotta keep up with the pacing of the episode as well. He's got 2 proto tool arms now, if you notice.
There are pieces of my body working their way to the planet's core.
Planet malware!
So malware has officially evolved from trying to cure himself to full on, I'm just gonna destroy everything because I'm an asshole. Throwing away your motivations for a power boner? Now you're a true Ben 10 villain.
I shall devour you.
So this leads to another point on potentially malware doing this to other transformations of Ben as well, because he was able to do it to feedback pretty easily. It seems like he's struggling to do this to Humongosaur, and we'll see he does not succeed, which could be for a number of reasons. But it does lead me to believe that malware is now trying to destroy Ben's aliens in the same fashion to feedback. Oh, now he's getting bigger. Almost like he's absorbing Humongosaur. Maybe he's mimicking his ability to grow. I mean, Humongosaur doesn't need it, apparently.
No one leaves.
Yeah, he's loving that proto tool now. Man said, fuck the tachyon cannon. This is better. You know, it would have been sick if he destroyed Humongosaur right here, too. I mean, Ben's got 4 arms and Kick and Hawk in this series now, and if you're not going to have Humongosaur grow, that's, like, it for his usefulness. Also would add much more stakes here, too, and parallel him destroying feedback. So yeah, if I was writing this episode, this would be bye-bye Humongosaur. Maybe he can unlock him back later. I mean, I don't hate him that much. They could take a quick pit stop at Primus or whatever, but yeah, just fucking kill him off right here.
Come on!
This is the second time we've seen somebody other than Rook pilot the proto truck, although it is also still Max who does it.
Ben!
I've got it!
Gwen! And Kevin. This was a nice surprise to have them return for the season finale. It does feel a bit random though, but it's an excusable randomness, you know, it's Gwen and Kevin. We're always happy to have them around. Lukic and Dreebar also here. Must be nice for them to be home.
When you didn't show up on any scan, called Gwen.
Kind of an expert at tracking Ben's mana.
And a good excuse to get them involved too. Her unique abilities outclasses the plumber technology. She can now send Ben across a significant amount of space. Her tracking abilities grow more and more powerful every series.
How is he?
I always love this quick shot of the x-ray of Ben. You see his skeleton along with parts of his digestive system. Really cool stuff.
He'll come around in a few hours. Could be now.
It's got that omni energy rejuvenating him, huh?
The debris from the explosion came down over a localized area.
Which means they don't have to draw any new backgrounds.
A matter of hours until malware's feelers reach the planet's core.
Malware himself will become a heavily armed living planet.
That's pretty awesome. I kind of want him to win just to see that happen.
So what's the plan?
I designed Galvan Prime with a series of firewalls.
Since rebuilding the planet, they have a lot more control over how it's constructed. Although part of me wishes they'd call it Galvan Mark II just to like emphasize that they've already rebuilt the planet once, but I guess they don't have to. You know, if you know, you know.
To insulate sections of the planet from each other.
In case of a viral attack.
Azimuth thinks of everything. So he can segment the planet just in case malware's trying to do exactly what he's trying to do. Although earlier he does say,
How do we fix this?
How should I know? It's not like this has ever happened before.
so if not for malware, it's questionable why he would do this in the first place. This is like a very specific contingency to have. Hey folks, give me 10 seconds of your time to let you know that it is hero time. There's a new shirt, hoodie, and tank in our merch store, which is linked down below. So grab one if you can. Now back to the breakdown.
We should be able to prevent malware from reaching the core.
Once Rook, Gwen, and I return from what's left of Galvan B,
The firewall controls were damaged by the shockwaves.
So you need us to keep malware busy while the Wonder Twins here fix the controls.
I'm surprised he can literally say Wonder Twins. Although they did name drop Monty Python in tweeting earlier, so I guess they're getting a bit bold with their references.
Are you sure you don't have any bigger jetpacks?
I bet he really wishes he had his own right now, huh? Oh, Max.
Don't go getting any ideas about my girl. Gwen is only attractive by human standards.
Man, Rook's shutting down women every single episode now.
It's true. I've seen Rook's Homeworld. No comparison.
Ben's taking a Ravana gander at some of the other species, huh? Taking after his grandpa.
So to him, Gwen's like an orangutan with glasses?
You took it too far, Kevin.
Love ya, bye!
Anytime now, Tennyson.
Side tangent, but do y'all remember when the "you say run goes with everything" memes were popular? I remember I made an edit for this scene, Way Big versus Malware. I remember I used to have it on the Rust Bucket channel, but it got claimed and taken down. I'm gonna try throwing it on our Twitter when this video goes live so y'all can see it, but there's a chance it's gonna get taken down as well. But fuck it, I'll risk it. Nice. Loved that shot of him too. So Way Big in Omniverse. He was first reintroduced in Blue Kitchen Dream It Goes to Mr. Smoothies, but now I get a chance to talk about it a little bit more. His design's alright in Omniverse. I like that they brought back the lower eyes, although they did miscolor it in this specific frame. But I don't know, he's not really my favorite either. Now he's voiced by Eric Bauza, who's been eating up all the roles recently, butter and all. Doing what I've heard is a Japanese accent, because, you know, emphasizing the tokusatsu reference. I was never really able to hear that, but perhaps I'm just more unfamiliar with Japanese accents, but if that's what they intend, I respect the homage. Yeah, this should be green. Let me just there we go.
What happened to Matt?
Oh, god damn it.
Maybe I splattered him.
It's never that easy.
Now, this was a pretty big shock to a lot of people when this first aired, because this is the first time we've seen Kevin absorb alien DNA without any repercussions whatsoever. And sure, you can just say, oh, it's Way Big's armor, it doesn't really count, but like, it kind of does. Even if it's not like fleshy DNA or whatever, this is still Tokustar DNA he's absorbing. And he just does it so quickly and casually. But yeah, no, this definitely counts as absorbing alien DNA. Although I do wish it was the same color as Way Big though. Perhaps they did it a slightly pinker shade so that you can see Kevin more easily against Way Big's shoulder, but I don't know, it still bugs me a bit. There we go, now it's more accurate.
Nah, it's never that easy.
Yeah, even when it's the same color, you can see Kevin a little bit easier, so I'm not a fan of this pinker shade.
Go muster the troops.
Wow, they really just won't color this green, huh? I had to check the model sheet in the last episode just to make sure I wasn't going crazy, but yeah, this is supposed to be green. Love the metal sound effects for him walking around too. On their first meeting. So here's Blue Kitchen Driba with another one of their messy makeshift inventions.
Well,
I've seen worse.
And there's Malware. Yeah, the animation in this episode is top tier. Always a fan of 2D liquid physics. Tries to wash it off. I like this highlight they give to the Mechamorph texture too. We saw it earlier on Humongosaur as well. I don't know why they just don't do that for the regular Mechamorphs. I edit something similar into the thumbnails just because, you know, I want the thumbnails to pop more on the YouTube homepage and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, they're doing it in the show, so they can do it. I feel like all the Mechamorphs should have this type of highlight. See, it just looks so good.
Cut it out, will ya?
Zed's still trying her best to be useful, even without the Nematrix. What a good dog.
We need it for the copper. And your belt buckle.
why would you possibly need my belt buckle?
Would all the geniuses in the room kindly raise your hands?
Paul Eiting being sassy to Paul Eiting.
Fine.
And your shoelaces.
Such a great scene. You gotta strip down to save the world, Max. Only Xylene can see you now. Now Malware is as tall as Way Big.
After I nearly destroyed you.
Oh boy. So not only are these not green, his cheeks aren't red either. Let me just,
After I nearly destroyed you.
Hey, there we go. Fun stuff happening over here on Ben 10 Breakdown.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, every single shot, they're just not green in this episode. Nice. Now he's trying to absorb Way Big, but Here we get to see Ben's Omniverse Toku Star laser. Instead of going full Ultraman and doing the signature pose, Waybig now crosses his arms to fire the beam. I'm not sure which one I like more. I mean, straight up ripping off Ultraman is kind of an awkward decision, but since they've already gone through and done it so many times, and crossing your arms isn't really the most original thing ever. But then again, it's better than just shooting it out of the palms of your hands like most of his other aliens do. Which one do y'all enjoy more? The full-on Ultraman pose or the crossing the arms to fire the beam? Let me know in the comments down below. But I love that you can see it burn through the Mechamorph. And how it affects the background too. Great lighting change. Aw, poor Zed. And all the Mechamorphs just floating around. Here's the Helix.
Yes, I think I can work with these.
Very admirable for them to try to do this rotating shot completely in 2D, but because of Omniverse's very messy art style, it just doesn't look that great.
Do either of you have any pocket change?
It's a Galvan thing. Galvans really need those medals. He's in the ground. Now Malware is able to just absorb the terrain around him and no longer has to be technology based. See, again, they do the highlights on the Mechamorph goo going up way big, but not Malware himself. I just feel like, you know, you might as well.
Part of me nears the core.
There's the core of the planet, artificially constructed since the hybrid blew it up the first time.
Almost out of time.
We're done.
Turn it on.
Love it. I love it. So now they're activating those core defenses that Azimuth built. Oh, even this one sequence though, this is, wow. This probably took someone an entire day just for like 2 seconds of animation.
What?
Ben's got that anime energy going on. What is he, freaking airbending now? What even is this? I mean, this is awesome, but like, wow. Malware's like controlling gravity or something. But now we're at his final form, where he's absolutely massive. He can't even fit in frame. And I love that his patterns are always changing with each form's evolution. First, he has the yellow, cracking, bony patterns. Then he heals himself with the Helix and gets those smooth, angular patterns. Then he absorbs the Tachyon cannon and gets the jaggedy, swirly patterns. And now he's just got full-on, messy, almost veiny patterns on him. Looks like folds of flesh, even. We get the intense rock, air, and smoke for these shots, and then it just disappears for these shots. But then we immediately go back to it in the very next frame. I think they were forgotten for this shot. Maybe it would have been too messy for you to notice the Malware grow. I don't know. It looks very noticeably out there, especially like sandwiched between these very intense shots. All of a sudden, it's calm skies and stable camera. Those are his 3 health bars that you have to deplete before you defeat him.
This is far from over, Tennyson.
Let's add a big booming filter to him.
This is far from over, Tennyson.
And then he absorbs Ben. Yeah, I think Malware can just straight up absorb Ben's aliens. We saw him destroy the Proto Tool only to replicate it. We saw him destroy feedback only for Ben to later get feedback again in this episode from going inside Malware. And now he's straight up taken Waybig in. Like, what was his plan there? It's never officially stated like what's happening, so I can't say for absolute certain this is what's going down, but combined with the fact that Eon's able to destroy Ben's aliens and both Malware and the Omnitrix are Galvan tech, I think Malware can legitimately absorb Ben's alien transformations. He doesn't get their powers because they are organic. Maybe he can only absorb organic material to gain more mass, because as he's absorbed the terrain and everything around him, it's not like he's becoming a rock monster with trees coming out. So he can absorb organic material, but it only adds to his mass. Whereas when he absorbs technology, he gains the powers of that technology. Also, check this out. It looks like he's got a tail too. That's fucking sick. We also never, this is also probably the best shot you're gonna get of giant form Malware. There's never one shot where you can really like see it. Now we're inside of Malware. I don't know if this is literal or not, or if this is just like a dream, but this is a fantastic background. There's like layers upon layers of the swirls. Looks great. And there's Ben. Love the grass. This is indeed Ben's house, but it's colored with that classic series palette, so you can already intuitively tell it's a flashback.
I'm home? How'd I get here?
I like school, but we probably learn more with Grandpa Max.
Gwen, who's smart enough to go to college early, says school is for chumps. She gets it.
Great. More time travel.
Ben's seen so much shit.
You've been quiet, kiddo.
I guess.
You'll feel better.
This is still freshly after Ben lost feedback.
Is Ben gonna be okay?
Something about that exchange is just really nice for 11-year-old Gwen. It's very much what a little kid would do when they see a distraught sibling, is just ask the Guardian what they think.
I come 76,000 light years, and I don't even get a formal greeting.
I'm pretty sure that's him saying that's how far Galvin Prime is from Earth. That implies two things that I can think of, and probably numerous others. One, Gwen sensed Ben's mana 76,000 light years away. And two, every time they travel to Galvin Prime, they go there in 76,000 light years. Remember when Kevin flew there in like an afternoon in Ultimate Alien? Or even right now, with Max bringing Gwen, Kevin, and the Galvins to this battle. Unless Azimuth was somewhere else, but like, when is he ever not in his lab? He's gotta be talking about Galvin Prime.
I remember this.
How is my greatest invention? Dropped it in the toilet or anything?
I guess not.
Man, you rarely ever see Kid Ben this depressed. Usually he's really good about putting on the facade, but this time it was just too much for him.
You know, you've been doing an awful lot of winning. You don't learn anything when you win.
This is such a great lesson for him too. Azimuth is missing his side whiskers though.
Losing feedback was hard.
Yeah, it felt like he was a part of me.
I mean, he literally was, so it's like a piece of him is gone. In fact, Kevin Rubio states that in his perspective, this was supposed to be taken literally, and Ben going inside was him re-obtaining that piece. Something that Matt Youngberg and Derek J. White has confirmed as well.
You can let that one loss define you, or you can learn from it.
This is some solid advice from Azimuth. I really like the way this scene was written. In fact, this scene took the efforts of all of the writers in order for it to come out to this result. So you can tell there was a lot of care put into this scene.
Did you? Huh? Did you learn from it?
Now this part is definitely not a flashback. This is probably just a visual interpretation of Ben talking to himself. Either that or the piece of Ben that was lost from malware taking feedback out has manifested as this Ben. It's never exactly stated what's happening here, but I kind of like that explanation where if the crew is going to confirm that yes, it was literally a piece of Ben was lost and Ben gets sucked inside of malware and now gets to talk to his 11-year-old self, I like to think that that piece manifested himself as this 11-year-old Ben, and maybe this conversation is literally happening.
Yeah, that losing bites. I don't think there's any big takeaway from our big fail back then.
Looks like the background was a little bit too shifted to the left.
Guess you're still mad at me, huh?
Maybe I gotta forgive you. Beating ourselves up is just doing a favor for malware and everyone else we ever go up against. So from now on, save the beatdowns for the bad guys.
One of the best scenes in Omniverse. It's also another great way to show you who Ben is as a character. He fluctuates a lot with his personality, but at his core, he realizes the best thing that he can do is just to try to be the best hero he can be and not let his sadness and emotions get in the way of doing what needs to be done. And then you hear both Omnitrix clicks. There it is, there's the frame. Oh, such a great reveal. There's really not too much I can say about this right now. I'm loving it.
Hey everybody, did you miss me?
And now we get to see 16-year-old feedback. I love that he has a different design than his 11-year-old self. Of course, the white palette has been shifted to green, but he also has these extra nodes on his body, showing a little bit of age. And it might just be this shot, but his tendrils are drawn a lot thicker too. Using electricity to cushion his landing, because, you know, electricity powers can do anything.
A conductor!
Was his back white when he was 11 years old? Or is this not supposed to be here?
And I'm 100 times more powerful now!
I wonder how literal that is. And this is a very quick shot. You can see the reflection of the laser in Feedback's eye, which mirrors this earlier shot when Waybig shot out his laser and Malware saw the reflection in his eye. Although the Malware shot is very obvious, but with Feedback you only get a couple of frames to really notice it. And effortlessly absorbs that beam. I love how it flashed green for a second, and Malware's own energy is able to hurt him. He propels himself into the air. Now, whenever a character does something like this, would you consider this flying? Pretty debatable. Amazing sequence right here. Help the dog, Kevin. But the mechamorphs are here.
No!
So they must have used the Helix to revive them. It's said that a lot of the Gwen, Azimuth, and Rook storyline was cut, so we probably would have seen this in a little bit more detail on how they were able to save them. Because the seeds in the episode are still there, but it doesn't feel like that much of a significant reveal.
You're welcome.
So now Kevin adopts Zed. I don't remember if this was brought up before, but this was done because Greg Sipes requested that Kevin should get a dog in the series. And originally they were designing him an Earth dog, but then it just made sense for Kevin to adopt Zed now that Kyber's abandoned her. And it's also a lot cooler.
Good doggy.
And they're morphing on out of there. Yay.
There's gotta be some way to take this chump out once and for all.
The energy of the Helix.
It was a small matter to re-energize the mechamorphs. Once the helixes were repaired,
And nobody dies. So it kind of makes sense that the Helix, the thing that created malware and also stabilized his red mutant form, is the thing that ultimately defeats him. Also, look at him. He's turned savage now. You got the mechamorphs rapid firing in the background too. The reflections in the water is pretty awesome too. Although I wish there was more of an emphasis on the lines up here, so you know that this is the main action and these are just reflections. It's a little tricky to focus. And boom. This is beautiful. You see the inner malware being peeled back from his outer tachyon form.
Come on.
you expect me to put on some humiliating display of gratitude every time you save a planet or two?
It's not that Azimuth isn't grateful of Ben's help, it's just, as Ben says, he saves the world all the time, so this shouldn't be anything significant.
It's a girl?
You really didn't pay attention in health class, did you?
Man, Kevin's been waiting to get her back for that one.
What makes you think it's a girl? If it was a girl, it would have a big ball on the side of its head or something.
You didn't pay much attention in health class, did you?
Naked Grandpa!
Naked, huh?
Don't ask.
And look how easily they put their planet back together. Finishing off with some more fantastic animation too. Great stuff. So I actually wanted to be more critical of this episode. I felt like this episode gets a lot of praise, and usually when I come back to these Ben 10 breakdowns, sometimes the hype wears off a little bit and you get to see the episode for what it really was. But it won me over. This is a fantastic episode, and also one of the rare instances where the second part is better than the first part. I think the plot is very worthy of a 5. It ties up everything that the first 2 seasons set up. We got to see Max, Gwen, and Kevin return again, and I think the solution for feedback, as well as the defeat of malware, was very satisfying and well written. It's ambiguous enough for you to interpret things however you want, but also the pieces are there for you to figure out what happens in that scene. I still feel like nothing's ever 100%. I kind of like that it's a little vague, the whole Ben talking to his younger self thing, but thematically it really works for the story, and it also leads to a fantastic climactic battle between feedback and mega malware. I liked that there were other plot points going on too, like Blue Kitchen Driba having to stabilize the core so that malware can't feed into the rocks. It wasn't just up to Ben having to defeat malware fast enough before he completes his plans, because he didn't. Blue Kitchen Driba really did save Galvin Prime. Not to mention, on the other hand, even though their plot got cut short, Rook, Gwen, and Azimuth reviving the mechamorphs and retrieving the Helix. Although looking back, Kevin actually didn't get to do too much either, but you know, I'm always a big fan of Kevin. Characterizations will get a 5 as well. Malware was definitely a formidable foe, and his corrupted viewpoints bred a motivation that worked with his character. I liked Azimuth a lot in this episode too, and of course, this being a big character study on Ben and how he views his aliens and now how he views himself in relation to his status as a hero. I think this was a perspective we haven't really gotten before. We get the same 4 or 5 Ben 10 lessons thrown at us every season or so, but this one I felt like was very unique of the usual bunch, and I'm very happy that we were able to get this kind of characterization in Omniverse of all shows. Visuals, another solid 5. I've been praising it the whole breakdown. You don't need to hear me do it here. Importance is another 5, super obvious, and how could I not finish this off with an entertaining for a 5 as well? I'm speedrunning the rating systems here, but just because we don't gotta make this any more than it needs to be. This is a 25 out of 25 episode. It's fantastic. I love how this is the conclusion to the feedback arc, and if this hasn't won you over as an Omniverse fan, I don't know what will. Now let's move on to the final thoughts. So before really analyzing the episode and coming to the conclusions that I had now, I had a theory that feedback was only locked from the previous Omnitrixes, and Ben was able to re-obtain feedback because the new Omnitrix was now able to accept conductoid DNA, and somehow the events of this episode episode led to Ben unlocking that transformation. Now, I'm a little bit more in favor of the fact that a piece of Ben literally was lost and then restored, but even with the writer's statements, the episode itself keeps it pretty vague. So in that regard, I still feel like it's kind of up to interpretation. I also talked a little bit before about how losing feedback was intended to be the reason that Ben took off the Omnitrix, and according to Derek, Dwayne and Glenn weren't going to tell Cartoon Network that this was their idea, and honestly, all the power to them. The network has screwed them over so many times before when they're just trying to tell the stories they want to tell. And as you can see in the earlier seasons of Ben 10, as well as their numerous other works, when they get a chance to tell the stories they want to tell, it's always a good time. And while this was mainly halted because of the unfortunate passing of Dwayne, in an alternate universe, it would have been fantastic to see the original feedback storyline play out and get that direct connective tissue between the classic series and Alien Force. Nonetheless, the show never outright says this isn't what happened anymore, so again, you could choose to believe that Ben losing feedback is why he lost the watch. It's just that in the show, they drop the storyline and they just don't talk about it, and no other supplementary reason is given. This episode was also going to end with Wyatt giving another tour of the Galvin Museum, showing the new malware sculpture, which would bookend it from the start of part 1, but they had to cut it for time. That combined with the Gwen, Rook, and Azimuth stuff being cut, it really feels like so much of this episode was lost. And if we weren't gonna swap scenes around, maybe this could have been benefited from being a 3-parter. And while we never really got a true shot of Malware's giant form, nor was any official art released, at least another look at it is this screenshot of an unreleased toy. Of course it went unreleased, so it's just another neat way to try to see what Malware really looked like in this scene. The last poll I had was about the quick reviews, which is still currently on our community tab. I don't want to wrap that up right now as it's only been out for a day, but instead I will add an additional poll. Do you think feedback's return made sense? Let me know what you think in the community tab when this video goes live. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and as always, keep it fizzy.